Welcome to Motherhood. I'm Dr. Christina Hibbert, and I'm here to help you overcome, to become, and to flourish in this ever-changing experience we call motherhood. Today we're going to be talking about, hopefully, some of the changes that we would maybe want to make when it comes to exercise. Yes, it's been a topic we've been talking about a lot, and we will continue to talk about a lot because I have a new book out called 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise. And as I was writing this book, it really inspired me because the research is so solid and so clear. There are numerous, countless benefits to our physical health, not only fitness-wise to our body, but to our, overcoming illnesses, preventing disease, that kind of thing, as well as to our mental health, our emotional health, even our social and spiritual health. And today we're going to focus in on one component that I think is key when it comes to talking about trying to get each of us to incorporate some form of physical activity or exercise into our life. And that is, how do we overcome the roadblocks that we face as we try to put some exercise into our life? Because let's face it, as moms, as women, as people, it's a busy, busy life, and it's hard to find the time. It's hard to have the energy. It's hard to overcome some of the challenges that we each personally face when it comes to exercise. But I'm here to tell you that it is not only possible, but probable that you can and will overcome the roadblocks if you work at it. And today's guests are going to tell us some of their experiences. They're very special guests. They actually are my sister and brother-in-law, my husband's sister and her husband, Lindsay and Tyler Elmer, are going to be here today, and they're going to share with us some of their experiences, both individually and as a couple. So this is a great show to invite your significant other to listen to, if if he or she is willing, right? So please stick around because there's lots to be learned about what we can do to overcome our roadblocks. And I'll be saying a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But first, I want to welcome you to our show, Motherhood, here each week. It's such a pleasure to get to grow with you instead of just going through motherhood alone. It's so much better to do it together. And that's what we do each week here. And I'm so grateful for all who join us online at my website, drchristinahibbert.com, and in our Facebook group, Growing Through Motherhood. Just ask to be added after you look it up, Growing Through Motherhood, and we would love to have you. You can also find me all over the place online. Just check me out on Instagram and Twitter and every other place you are, we will be there too. And you can also check out a video of today's episode on my YouTube channel. All right, so before we get into our main part of the show, and again, talking about exercise and how to overcome roadblocks, I want to do my Dr. Christie Simple Solutions because I came across this program. Well, actually, they came across me, and I think that you moms would love to hear about it because it's a way to make exercise fun, to put some more adventure in your life, and also, as we talk about each week here on the show, it's a way to give yourself that break that we all need. And this is the Zion Ponderosa Resorts Women's Adventure Retreat. And today with me, I have Mandy Woodhouse, who is the director for the Women's Adventure Retreat at Zion Ponderosa. So Mandy, welcome to Motherhood.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I'm grateful to have you. And I'm excited to tell everybody about this program that you guys do. And I'm even more excited because I got invited to come and participate. And it just so happens to be the week of my book launch for 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise. So it's kind of a perfect mix. And I'm going to get to go experience it all for myself. So Mandy, let's tell everybody, what is this Women's Adventure Retreat all about?
All right, thank you. Yeah, so the Women's Retreat, we really just wanted to find a way for women to get a break from their daily lives and just to reconnect to who they are and what things they love. And what I love about this is we offer only to women, and so women come and they leave with best friends all over the country. And in our past retreat groups, that's what I have found is everyone leaves and they're best friends, and there's crying because you get so close doing all of these adventurous things together in Zion Ponderosa and going into Zion National Park and just experiencing all these things and getting a break from the daily life and being with your kids. It's amazing. It's such a great opportunity for people who get to do it and experience it all.
You're making me excited. So. You're making me excited because I get to do this. So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful and excited. So you just mentioned it, but this is at Zion Ponderosa Ranch Resort, which is in or near Zion National Park in southern Utah.
Yes, so we're right on the east side of Zion National Park. It's about a 15-minute drive to get into the park from where we're at. Mm-hmm. And our location is up above the park, so we can actually hike out and we can see beautiful parts of Zion Ponderosa and even do some hikes in Zion Ponderosa that goes out and looks over at the park observation point. It's one of the best scenic locations in Utah, and you can access that from Zion Ponderosa.
Wow. And for all you listeners, if you want to see some of these photos, of course you can find them on their website at zionponderosa.com, which I should have mentioned at the beginning, but zionponderosa.com, where you can find out more information about this. But also, I just posted a blog post on my excitement about going on this retreat, and also sharing a tip on how to increase your enjoyment when you're exercising. So tip 1, make it fun. So if you go find my blog post on that, on mental health and exercise, making it fun, you can find these pictures. And yeah, we have one of those from Observation Point. It is amazing. These pictures are amazing and beautiful. So I guess, you're not only getting away from your family, you're doing these fun, adventurous activities, which I want you to tell us more about, but also you're out in this beautiful country that's just, I'm sure it just heals your soul just because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell us about the activities that are involved in this retreat.
All right. So the days are honestly packed to the max. Like, people are like, oh my gosh, I want to do more, but it's already dinner time. We go to the sand dunes and we go sledding down the sand dunes. We take all the ladies out shooting because I think it's just empowering to do that. We learn how to rappel, so then we can go into a slot canyon and we rappel down up to 120 feet rappels. We do ATV riding. We go into Zion National Park and see the Narrows and Emerald Pools, and some people want to do Angel's Landing. We go paintballing, horseback riding, and then one of the other favorites is the helicopter tour that we do as well.
Wow. I mean, seriously, when I saw this, I was like, are you kidding me? We get to do all this in a week?
I know, right?
It's amazing. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how often do you do the retreats for the women's retreat?
So, right. We offer one week in the spring and 1 week in the fall currently. We may be adding more as the demand increases, but that's all that we do for right now.
Okay, great. And so anything else you want to tell us about the Women's Adventure Retreat that people would want to know before we make sure they know how to find out more information online?
Right. No, just if you're looking for a chance to get a break and to just kind of refill your tanks, if you will, this is a great place to do it. And every night we go and look at the stars, or we're doing a fire pit, or we go in the hot tub together, or we're even at the cabins playing games. It's just such an amazing chance to just get away and just have some fun, some just good fun with other ladies. So, and
to be active. I mean, it's not like you're just sitting around. I mean, you're, like you say, you're refilling your cup, but you're also, using your body and moving, which is great for your mental health and your emotional well-being and your recovery from other motherhood tasks too.
Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay. So everybody listening who's interested in more information, I hope you guys will go check it out. Even if you're not sure if you could ever go, just go check out the website and the pictures and tell all your friends about it. And also tell them about Zion Ponderosa Ranch Resort, which is also a place that, people can go and stay there, right, during the year. And
yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So even if you're not able to make a retreat, maybe you could go visit Zion and stay at the Zion Ponderosa Ranch Resort. So zionponderosa.com, and then on the website there's a link for the women's retreat, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
There's one right on the main page you can just click on.
Right on the main page. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So, okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Mandy Woodhouse, for being here with me today and talking about this amazing adventure retreat. I can't wait to go. And I'm excited to tell all you listeners that Mandy and I will be back together at the retreat, recording an entire show about the importance of keeping our adventure alive in motherhood. And so be sure to tune into that episode to hear how I thought it went and to hear some of our thoughts on how we can, continue to be adventurous and have fun in motherhood. Right, Mandy?
All right. Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. Doesn't that sound incredible? Let me tell you, I am so excited to get to go and try this out, and I wish all of you could come with me, but I will virtually be taking you with me. So be sure to follow me and check out the posts that I'll be doing during the week that I'm at Zion Ponderosa at their Women's Adventure Retreat. Now, on to the show. Today, as I said, we're going to be talking about overcoming roadblocks to exercise and activity and just to our overall health and wellness. There are so many benefits of exercise that it's hard to even name them all in the short amount of time that we have here. But for a few, exercise not only, like I said, improves our physical health, it can strengthen our muscles and our bones, which is great for us women. It can also prevent diseases and help to prevent things like cancer even and diabetes, type 2 especially. But it also works for our mental and emotional well-being and spiritual and social well-being. So research has shown that exercise can boost creativity, that it's linked with greater cognitive functioning, mental clarity, memory, learning. We tend to think more clearly and be more focused when we exercise. We tend to be able to be at our best at work, at home, as a mom, in all your roles, when we have some form of physical activity in our lives. It also works to literally change the neurotransmitters of our brain or to impact them in the same way that a medication might for an antidepressant. And when those neurotransmitters are influenced, it makes us feel normal, healthy, well. And that's why it's so great, exercise. It's literally like medicine for our mind, for our emotions. It also is linked with things like greater social interactions and better relationships. In fact, couples who work out together, who exercise, or even are just active together in any way, tend to have stronger relationships. They not only get healthier personally and obtain all those benefits we're talking about, but their relationships get strengthened as well. And you can imagine that applies for your family too. In fact, a whole chapter, key 3 of my book is exercise as a family, because it is such an important way to not only become healthier ourselves and help our children to become healthier, but to teach them the skill of being active their whole life long and to bring our families closer together and help us all be emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially, physically well, right? Now, also, exercise is linked with greater spiritual connection. So if you're struggling spiritually, you don't know what to do, go for a walk. Do something to move your body. When we move our body, it literally moves our mind. So motion creates emotion, right? So do a little experiment and sit in your chair, wherever you're sitting, or maybe you're in your car listening to this. And as you're sitting there, I want you to slump over and let your head fall down and droop your shoulders and frown and just look down. You're in the posture of someone who's depressed and down. I want you to pay attention. How does your body feel as you're in this posture? How do you feel? How does your mind feel? How does your spirit feel? Do you feel tired? Maybe. Now, I want you to sit up straight, or if you're moving already, or if you're, already standing up, stand up straight and tall. Make yourself as tall as possible. Put a big smile on your face, even if you don't feel like it. Put the smile on your face. Smile with your eyes so that if someone were to look at you right now, they would think you really are happy, even if you're not feeling it. Stand up, pull your shoulders back, breathe in and out. And how do you feel now? Don't you feel a little bit better? A little boost to your mood? Well, that's what exercise and activity can do for us. It literally moves our mind when we move our body. So today we're going to talk about overcoming the roadblocks, because when I think about exercise and why, if it's so great, why do so many of us not do it regularly? Because the truth is, most people, about 80-something%, do not exercise regularly. and are not physically active most days. So why is that? Well, I know that you're all sitting there thinking, I know why. It's because I'm busy. It's because I'm tired. It's because I have too much on my plate. It's because I don't like exercise. It's not fun. It makes me feel anxious. It's miserable. I don't know where to begin, maybe. I don't have any support for exercise. I don't know how to fit it in. I think I need to go to the gym, but I can't afford that. There are so many roadblocks when it comes to exercise, and I'm sure you can find yourself in one or more of the ones I've mentioned and think of several others that apply to you. So the challenge is, how do we overcome these roadblocks? And first, it's key to discuss motivation, which we're only going to touch on briefly because we're going to have a whole other show on motivation, and then changing our thinking. Because when it comes to overcoming roadblocks, we have to be able to first want to be motivated. So we have to have that desire. And hopefully, what I've just told you about all these benefits of exercise on us, hopefully that's enough to motivate you. But maybe your motivation is your children. You want to be healthier for them. Maybe it's that you just had a health crisis and you need to exercise. Maybe it's that you're going through a mental illness and you're hearing what I'm saying, that exercise can actually not only prevent but treat mental illness. It's a great addition to treatments you're already doing, or sometimes an alternative to them for milder cases. So whatever it is that's motivating you, I want you to identify that. And that is what I call discovering your why. What is your why for exercising? What is the thing that might make you actually put together a plan and stick with it and try to overcome these roadblocks that we're going to be talking about today? What is your why? When I wrote this book, 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise, I actually dedicated it to my whys, which are my children. They are my whys for pretty much everything. My husband too, of course, but I've already dedicated one to him. So it's my children's turn, but they're the ones that keep me moving for sure. And I want to be able to keep up. And my kids are also really good at, many of them, not all of them, but many of them are very active, and they take an active approach to being active in their life and to trying to be fit. And I remember starting off with my boys when they were little. I was doing P90X down in my dungeon, which I still do. We call it the dungeon. It's the basement. It's kind of the unfinished part of the basement where I have my workout area. And they would get up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning before school, before seminary, which they go to each morning. And we would exercise together and lift weights together. And I still do some of that P90 workout because I think it's great. But they've moved on and they do their own workouts now and they're very into it. So they inspire me in a lot of ways. And it's fun to think that maybe I gave them a little start. Now, many of you don't know this, but I used to be an aerobics instructor. And so that's where I got my interest in exercise. And I really started doing that. I wasn't always an exerciser. My why started in college when I had put on the freshman 15. And I initially started because I wanted to lose weight. And so I took an aerobics class and I was terrible. I could only do 1 push-up the first day. But at the end of the class, I could do 11. And now I can do, I don't know how many, a lot of push-ups. But we start small and we work on it, and we build. And then over time, my why for sticking with exercise became these benefits to my mind and to my spirit and to my, my well-being. I just feel better when I'm moving my body. I feel better about myself. I feel happier. I feel healthier. And I am much more successful in my life when I am moving. So what is your why? And that's part of motivation, a big part of motivation. And then it's important to think about what you're thinking about. So as we're talking today about overcoming roadblocks, and as Tyler and Lindsay come on and talk about some of their challenges, I want you to listen for things that you can relate to, things that stand out to you as part of your experience, but also think of what your roadblocks might be. Pay attention. How do you think about exercise? Do you tell yourself it's too hard, I'm too tired, I can't do it, I'm too busy? Well, one thing I say is that we can start off by saying those things, and they might be, a reason why it's hard to exercise. But really what happens is they become an excuse. And we're trying to get over the excuses today with some advice from these two, whom I included in 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise because I thought both of their experiences were really important and valuable. And so that's why I invited them to be on the show here today. Now, one more thing before I invite them on is it's important to realize that whereas exercise definitely takes physical fortitude, it takes physical strength. You do have to move your body. You have to push yourself physically. It takes even more mental fortitude. And that's where we have to begin. We have to build our mental fortitude to want to be active, to want to exercise, and to know how to do that and what we can do to overcome these challenges that stand in our way in order to get to the physical part, right? If we can't make ourselves do it, well, then it doesn't even matter how physically hard it is, does it? Now, let's talk with Tyler and Lindsay Elmer about some of their experiences and let them share with you what they've discovered. I have here my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Tyler and Lindsay Elmer. Welcome to Motherhood, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the reason why I talked them into this is because Tyler and Lindsay's stories are actually in my new book, 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise. So they had already shared, and now we're just going to have them share in person on the radio instead, right? So totally fine, right?
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All good. All right. So, and the reason why I also had them on is because you guys both were pretty open about you've had plenty of challenges when it comes to being active and exercising regularly. It's not like it's just been easy your whole life and no big deal, right?
No, there's different challenges, and it comes on different levels and at different times of your life with different stresses and just how life happens. So
Right.
always issues, always things you have to work through and prioritize, unfortunately. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, and so that's why I wanted to kind of get into talking about a little bit about some of the roadblocks and challenges each of you have faced, whether it be, because of, your lifestyle or that time of life, like Tyler just said, or whatever. Let's start with you, Lindsay. So what are some of when it comes to exercising regularly, kind of what have been some of your biggest challenges? And then we'll talk more about like what has helped you get motivated again.
I think having children makes it difficult, whether it's because you're pregnant, because you're sick, because you just had a baby, because you're nursing. The times away from the kids, I mean, that's, spans the last 15 years of my life.
Right.
So,
because you guys have 3 kids, and
Yes.
tell them.
I have a 14-year-old daughter, almost a 12-year-old son, and an 8-year-old son.
Right. Okay.
And so I feel like for a long time it was more just the ups and downs of pregnancy and trying to get your body back after pregnancy and this and that. And then now I feel like the biggest roadblock for me, it's mental, because it's really, I don't really have those excuses anymore because I haven't had a child for 8 years now. So it's
a young
really
child.
Right. I mean, I've given birth, yes.
Right.
And so now we have new things coming up in our lives that we're excited about, but I feel like it's my time to it's all on me, which is really fun and exciting, but also it's all on me. If I don't do it, I don't really have any excuses not to do it. So
Right.
and my time is a lot more free. I have lots of little pockets of time. So I just need to really plug into when those pockets equal exercise.
Right. So let's back up a little bit. So tell us, like, how active were you kind of growing up and before having kids and while having kids? When did that kind of change for you?
I feel like I was active my whole life. I played softball and just goofed around. We have an active family.
Yeah.
And we were active, to some degree before we had kids. And even when I had kids, this sounds so silly, I found Denise Austin on TV.
Yeah, I totally remember.
And so when Press was a baby, months old, it was exactly like I was awake, but she wasn't awake yet. Mm-hmm. And I could get in Denise Austin's aerobics and light and fit yoga. And that's actually when I started doing yoga, was through that. So I did that. And then I did yoga all through my pregnancies, through having kids. That was really my go-to then.
Yeah.
So I've always stayed active. It's just been in different capacities of like what I've done.
Right.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, actually, you got certified as a yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Once
I started doing it, I was hooked.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So, and I found my way back again. I've kind of popped in and out of the yoga world, but I'm doing that again, regularly too, which I just love.
Let me ask you this. I hope you don't mind because it's in the book.
Yeah.
But would you mind sharing about Christopher and
Yeah.
yoga and your, your workout, how that changed for you? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of moms can relate.
So for me, I sort of started doing the teacher training after I had Tate. And
Who is the second?
Who's my second son, and he I even was pregnant doing yoga all the way through that pregnancy and after, and that was great for me. I could work out and I felt strong and I could be flexible and still, be pregnant. It helped me feel good through my pregnancy and after. And training takes a while, especially since I was just doing shorter times, like at school. I would take like a class at a time. Mm-hmm. And so it took me a little while to get through the teacher training. And so I really focused in pretty hard when I was right before I'd gotten pregnant with Christopher. And then as I was pregnant with him, I was finishing my training and doing it like a couple nights a week. Sometimes during the day, I had these big intense classes that were hours a day. And it felt very like linked to getting my certificate.
Yes.
And so then, by then I'd had my certificate and I was teaching a class when I was pregnant. I remember, I don't know, it was just very, very linked to yoga. And then when I had him, and so much of yoga is kind of mind, body, listening to your body. And so when I had him afterwards, I just was like...
So tell the people, so he was stillborn.
Oh, I had him and he was stillborn.
Yeah.
And, it was unexpected, obviously, as I think most stillborns are.
Yeah.
And so I just felt more of a need to disconnect from the mind-body connection.
Right.
I didn't want to listen to my body at that time. Mm-hmm. And, I still took care of myself, certainly, and I did what my doctor said and that sort of thing. But that need for slow, mindful movements was not what I was looking for anymore. Mm-hmm. And I remember like going into the gym, like, I can't wait to get my gym membership and I'm going to go do this. And so I started doing kickboxing after that. And I just loved, my sister did it with me and we would just goof around. It would be loud. It was social and so opposite of everything yoga.
Yes.
And I did that until I got pregnant with Tyson. And I think I probably still did it with him, but I don't remember it as much. It certainly wasn't a part of it.
Right.
Like yoga was before with Christopher. So
yeah.
That was sort of my thing. And I think after I had Tyson, it was more that I was afraid probably to work out as much.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't know, not that I feel like I did anything wrong with Christopher, but at the same time you always have those like, what could I have done different?
Right.
So I don't know. I think I lost a little time there where I probably didn't exercise as regularly as I did like after my other kids. Yeah. Because I just wanted to like soak it all in. I knew that was my last kid. I wanted to like be aware of every moment. Plus I still had my other kids that I was taking care of. So I just found myself with less time.
Right.
For sure.
Right. And again, I'm sure so many listeners can relate to what you're talking about. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges when it comes to moms, especially is, you've got your kids and they need you and there's all this stuff you need to get done. So we're going to talk in a few minutes about how you, like some specific strategies for how you overcome that. But let's talk to Tyler for a minute. So Tyler, tell us a little bit about your background. Like you were pretty active too growing up and then things changed a little bit for you. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I was active growing up as a child. Ran track, swam, did baseball, did everything very, very active, and stayed fairly active all through high school and even after when we got married. I think probably where I stopped really working out or being active, I think was after the kids were born and the onset of church responsibilities and scouting responsibilities and even just being a dad and work. Yeah. It consumed everything that I was doing and I didn't take time for what I needed to do for myself. It was the pressures of being a dad, if you will, and making sure that everything was taken care of and in place. Yeah. And that's where I think that that fitness role the fitness lifestyle, that being active took a back seat to all of that. Yeah. I still had other priorities. It was important to take care of those things, but it was one of those that I realized looking through pictures in the past, just seeing how much weight I put on and having that. And when I finally making that decision to, okay, let's get back and start doing things, it was really one of those, it was very nerve-wracking and very overwhelming because of the fact that I knew in my mind, I envisioned what I needed to look like before I could go to the gym and make sure that I was gym ready. And so that was a challenge.
And that's a good point. I want to bring that out because I think a lot of people feel the same way. You don't want to go to the gym because you haven't been there forever. You're not sure how it works. You think you're going to, maybe look stupid doing stuff, or you don't look good enough to go to the gym, right?
I actually for an entire year, I had a gym membership that I don't think I went the entire year. So I paid the funds, I paid the dues, I got everything taken care of and didn't utilize or access any of it. So it was an expensive education and as far as what not to do. And it's one of those really, as I've had a chance to go back to the gym, you really can't compare. It's easy to say this now, but you really can't compare yourself to anybody else.
Yeah.
Because everybody's road's different, mentally, emotionally, physically, and what their bodies will do and what they won't do. And there's not a magic pill. There's not a magic whatever to go out and all of a sudden you're going to be ripped or toned or lean. It's a commitment. It's something that you have to do, and it's a mental commitment at the same time, saying here's where you're at and a journey. Going to the gym to me obviously there's physical results that working out yields, but it's a chance also for me just to kind of stop and unwind, let the stresses of everything that happens in life, it's a chance for me just to shelf it.
Yeah.
And it's just my time, and that's where I think that I'm at now. It has taken a while to get there, but this is really my time to go to the gym. It's really about me to be calm and be collective and gather my thoughts. So
right. So again, it might have started off as a physical goal for you, but you're talking about a lot of the other components,
Absolutely.
The mental health, the peace, the calm, being a better parent. You'd say that exercise has helped you in all those ways, right?
It has. Yeah. And I think across, even as I reflect on what we've taught our children, hopefully through all of this, my daughter definitely has a different mindset and probably perception of where things are.
Yeah. Because she's a teenager?
She's a teenager, and we still love her.
Well, of course.
And our boys they're active boys, and they need that exercise and that outlet for them to go and do things. But more than anything else, we've tried very hard to make sure that it's their choice in the things that they participate in, that they do. We don't want it to force them upon it, but also make sure that they also realize that it's okay to put the video games down, to go out and play and go run at the beach, or go to karate or do whatever that they're doing. So it's important that we engage as a family. It makes it a lot easier to engage as a family too, instead of trying to be one-off, trying to do it by yourself and somebody's eating a box of chocolate-covered donuts and you're struggling through that by yourself. So
well, and that you both have brought up such great points. First of all, Lindsay and Tyler, you both mentioned the mental aspect of this, and that you both realized that it really is so much mental. And that's something that I've talked about already in the introduction to this episode, how mental it is. And that's really what the whole book is about. But, and also you're talking about once each of you individually have kind of started to be more active, now you do that as a family. And that's a whole other key in the book too, is exercising as a family. And I've been able to spend some time with these guys this week here. We've been on spring break together and seeing how their kids are active and, going and doing fun races together and creating their own now, kind of like copying you guys, right?
True.
Yeah, which is good. That's good. So tell me about, and you can maybe start, Lindsay, and then we'll go back to Tyler, like what was kind of a turning point for you, or how did you overcome some of the challenges and roadblocks? You said it's mental for sure. So like, how have you been able to overcome some of those challenges you've faced when it comes to being fit?
Well, for me, it's hard. Here's what's weird about it. Some people are very goal driven. Yeah. Tyler specifically, he's like, I want to either weigh this by this date. I want to, I don't know, whatever it is, lift this much by this date.
Right.
I am not. Mm-hmm. I am like, I don't know. I'm just in it to do it because I want to, because that's what makes me feel good. Mm-hmm. I don't have any, like, I want to wear this size jeans, or I don't know. I don't have that same goal-driven personality as other people do. And I think that's mentally maybe different for me because I'm just doing it. Uh-huh. Do you know what I mean? Uh-huh. I have some friends that do fitness competitions.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're like, yes, by this date, I need to have this, I need to be this. And I'm like, good for you. You know, so mentally for me, what's maybe hard is that it's lifelong.
Yeah.
I don't have an end in sight. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think it's like the push to get something done quickly isn't there.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that's a good thing because I'm not looking at this as like, I need to be fit by summer. I need to be this by this. I just need to be healthy for me and consistent.
Right.
I think that's the bottom line. You know, I can go eat some junk food and then guess what? Tomorrow I'm going to be back on and I'm going to do my workout and it's going to be great. And it's not like I've snowballed myself into like this bad cycle.
Right.
I really, really try not to get myself in that cycle and feel guilty because it's me. I have a trainer that I do report to, but really it's me. She doesn't really care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, you didn't do that. That's not on my body. That's on your body.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So mentally, I think what's hard about that is it's just completely on me, you know? And so,
but ultimately it's really like that for everybody, whether it's a goal or it's just a daily thing that you just kind of have to keep doing. It really is it's all about.
Yeah. And it might be nice if I was a little more goal driven.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm just not.
Yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
and I think I'm like, I'm driven by fun. By her husband.
Yeah.
I'm driven by fun. And so
they're siblings.
If I don't enjoy my workout, I probably won't do it.
Yeah. Right.
So that's why through the years I've switched what I've done. And even through just the last couple of years, I've had 2 different trainers. They're different. We've had different workouts. We've had different nutrition plans. And so I just think you've got to continue to evolve with what your body wants, what you need, what you have time for, but being consistent at doing something.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And I think knowing that I'm a parent and that my kids are watching, I think back to like, you know, my parents were active my whole life to some capacity.
Yeah.
And I think they were probably a really, really great example. And I didn't even realize that they were until I've seen that other people are not.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and maybe that they don't have that same goal and that, I don't know. I think it's really neat to see the kids, you know, running around doing obstacle courses like they were and, you know, doing some fun stuff like that. So, mentally for me, it's just getting myself out there.
Yes.
You know?
Just do, like you said, go and do something. You were telling me the other night, like, you were saying that you were talking to somebody and saying you still have to make yourself go to the gym.
Every day.
You just have to make yourself. It's not like a easy, like, oh, I'm just going to do this. It's my habit. I love it. I'm so whatever. You love it.
Yeah.
You know, sort of, but you just, once you're there and it's over, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
on the days that we meet at the gym in the evening, I find that my days are a lot harder because I don't feel great. But as soon as I get to the gym, I feel great. And I always think like, oh, I should go earlier. But some days it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So that's like your little reward at the end. Like, I know I'm going later. So,
Right.
I don't know. For me, it's definitely just mental of like, you've got to just do that.
Right.
And sometimes I can't make decisions about my life when I'm hungry, when I'm tired. And so sometimes really I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm done with all of this. And then I'm like, you have not eaten lately. You should go eat something. Then I'm like, no, I'll be fine. So sometimes I really have to check like what my other situations are when I'm mentally getting down on myself. It's because I'm missing something else.
Right.
So stabilize the emotions first. Get those in check. Then you can make life decisions.
That is wonderful advice. Get some sleep, take a nap, cool down, eat, whatever it may be.
Sometimes it's caffeine.
Yeah.
I've told my friend I should not make life decisions when I'm not caffeinated because I really do sometimes think like, forget it. I don't need any of this.
Yeah.
And then I get something to drink and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make this work.
So whatever it is for you, everybody listening, whatever it is for you, take care of yourself first.
Yes.
And then I always, you know me, I get too tired and I'm a total grump. So I never make choices late when I'm tired, you know. So there you go. I'm with you on that. So one last thing, Lindsay. The other thing that you've admitted in the book is that you don't love cardio. And that was a real challenge for you too, was feeling like you had to do this cardio because that's what people do and that's how you get in shape. And
yeah.
So how'd you overcome that? What are some tips you have?
Well, something that I noticed that my trainer actually even said to me the other day, we were doing some circuits. And I actually, like, we're very different body-wise. He could not work out for like 3 years and then get on the treadmill and run 1.5 miles. And he's like, whatever, no big deal. And I could work out for 3 years every day. And I would try to run 1 mile and he'd be like, I hate it. I hate it. The whole time I hate it. I hate it. I mean that.
Yeah.
And so like the other day when I was working with my trainer, we were doing battle ropes, which is like those big heavy ropes.
Yes.
Anyway. And I would always get to a certain number and I'm like, my body says no. And she was like, no, just finish it. I was like, my body says no. And so she was like, wow, you really don't like to be uncomfortable. Oh. But because most of the people that are in there, weightlifting makes them uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make me uncomfortable. I can continue to do that because it's a little slower, but you put cardio in the mix, you make me jump around or run around, and I get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing she noticed about me is she was saying, I don't like to be uncomfortable when I work out. I like to be like in control. I like to know what I'm doing. I like it to be on my terms.
Yes.
And so to be forced to do stuff that makes me uncomfortable,
Yeah.
I kind of shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I do know that about myself, and that's how I feel about cardio. So I think that just has to be up to each individual.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I gave myself a mental break that if I didn't have to do cardio, if I didn't feel like doing cardio, I just wasn't going to.
Right.
So then I could go and I could get my exercise, do my weights, do that sort of thing. And certainly there's some level of cardio in that because I try and do them quickly so that my heart rate stays up, or I try and do like, you know, pop squats or jumping in between, which I don't like, but I can do it for like a second.
Right. Shorter bursts.
Yes, I'm much better at shorter.
training.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and so a couple of things here I want to reiterate for everybody before we talk to Tyler a little bit more. Lindsay said a couple of things. First of all, she's not afraid to mix it up and to change based on where she is in her life, what's going on with her life, and also what she does or doesn't like doing, or how her body's feeling, or all of that. So these are all great tips. You know, you have to do something that you enjoy, and there's so many different types of exercise options. It's not just you're either running or swimming or going to a class. You know, there's so many different options. And also, you know, Lindsay's not afraid to get in there and lift some weights, which is really great for both male and females. It's not just the men, ladies. It's wonderful to lift weights, and it's really good for our bones, and it's really good for our bodies. And it also helps to relieve tension in a way that sometimes cardio can't. So there's the benefits that go either way. So that's great. I love how adaptable you are, and I think so many people can relate to that. And I think a lot of us feel like I have to do this because this is the type of exercise that everybody does, or I should love it or something. And if you don't, you don't. And you know, there's so many different ways we can get around that. So
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, please.
Just that there are, if weights completely intimidate you or whatever it is, there's so many resources online that you can find simple workouts. I mean, even if you just put like women shoulder workouts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like online, anything
On
like
YouTube
that.
there's
Yes.
tons. Yeah.
And so then you can find things if you think like, I want to try weights, but where do I even start? Something
Right.
like that. You know, there's Instagram pages you can find. Just start with a couple little things because that really, really helps change your body. And especially if you're super not a cardio person, that might be that key that clicks.
Yeah.
But for him, like if we go lift weights together, he's shaking and dying and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But if
right.
it's again, if we go run,
But if he's right.
I'm like
You're shaking
falling
and
off the treadmill, and he's like fine.
Right.
So
It just shows we're all different. We
yes,
all
and that's
yeah.
why you have to be
define what
adaptable.
works for you.
Yes, to see what your body enjoys, and I really think that's when you start feeling changes and when you enjoy your workouts too.
Right. And that was the other point that you made that I wanted to emphasize was how you were able to learn about yourself, learn about what works for you, that you are uncomfortable in certain situations and what those are and how to get through those, you know, find that way to adapt. And I think everybody listening, we all need to do the same thing. We all need to figure out what works for our body and not feel like it's a one size fits all. So kind of similar for you. So tell us a little bit about how you've overcome some of your roadblocks, Tyler.
I think that as I look back to when we first started this entire journey, and I say that it's a journey, and I appreciate what Lynn said, that there's not an end for us that we can see.
Yeah.
And it's really become a lifestyle more than anything else.
Yeah.
But when we really started getting this going and getting things taken care of, it was, oh, criminy sakes. We were kind of at a low. I was at a low, let me phrase it.
I think you mean high, as in weight.
Oh yeah, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Okay.
No,
That was the low.
That
High
was
was
low.
the low.
That was
Yeah.
real low.
Okay.
No, but it was one of those that I wasn't healthy. And I think physically it was one of those that I knew that if I didn't make a change or do something, it was going to progressively get worse. And
Right.
to what that was, I don't know. I mean, it could have been a lot of different medical things. And so for me, it was a click that, you know what, I want to be around and I want to be active with my kids. I don't want to be winded when I try to race them upstairs or try to chase them around to do whatever.
Right.
And so to me, that was the kind of the setting off point. And it was one of those that I, again, being active, all of a sudden you try to revert back to what you know, which isn't a bad thing. But it would be, let's go run and try to see how far I could run, and realizing that's not always the best thing, because then I would go home and I wouldn't eat all day long trying to offset, okay, it's that mentality of this is how you diet.
Yeah.
And that to me was one of my biggest challenges is growing up. It was one of those that watching family members that would go into a diet mode is they would just starve themselves and starve and starve and starve, and then go do a bunch of high energy, or excuse me, the high intensity cardio and just run and run until they ran themselves in the ground, or tried to work out and realized that it wasn't until I actually started working with a trainer and really evaluated the whole thing and seeing really how important food is, and the foods that you eat. And so it was one of those that where I think being addicted to food, healthy.
Everybody can relate. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
It's really understanding that you can eat food, and it's okay to eat food. Again, my hugest support staff has been Lindsay and my family, going through and saying, hey, this is the encouragement. We work out together like we had said. So it's all different. It varies for each person, but I think for me the biggest thing was I've got to want to, and then having the different goals and doing different races, and by this date, this is physically what I want to see. And I don't think that to me that worked great, because I had to make that adjustment, put it in the calendar. The mornings weren't working great, so I started changing them to the evenings then. And that's just
time of day even. Yeah.
Time of day. But again, being a checkbox type of a guy, like it says in the book too, that's what I had to do.
On your schedule, you check it off.
And for me, visually, that was something that it was one of those, I have to do it. And I enjoy it. Their workouts are hard. Like Lynn says, I probably go a little bit overboard and get into the shakes after we're done. But but though, I feel it's a chemical release, a healthy chemical release. That I accomplished the task. I can put the check next to it. And so there's two different types of endorphins that are being released then at that point in time.
Yeah.
So.
Right, and that's so important. And I love how you mentioned, finding the right time of day, again, finding what works for you, including nutrition, which is so huge when you want to be healthy and have energy for your family to keep up. I know that's a big reason that keeps me motivated to exercise, is just I don't have the same energy without it. And the other thing is, again, you guys have been a great support team, and that's kind of where I want to wrap up is, how have you guys found to make that work, to help support each other? What's helpful? What did you learn along the way that maybe wasn't so helpful for those listening who, has a spouse or partner that they maybe want to try to enlist? I mean, as you guys were talking, you were, Lindsay made the point that you guys aren't exactly the same, and most couples aren't exactly the same with what they like or how they want to do it or whatever, but you guys have found a way to make it work.
Yeah. I think the first thing is being on the same page as far as we want to eliminate the junk food in the house. You cannot be successful and say, hey, I'm going to try whatever type of a diet or healthy lifestyle. And when your partner is constantly eating Snickers bars and that's your weakness, or chocolate covered almonds, or whatever that vice is that you may have, you can't do that. You've got to be on the same page and be able to collectively put that stuff away. To me, that's probably my biggest help or hindrance. That I can
respecting the other person's needs too, and not just sitting there like, oh, have fun eating nothing. I'm gonna just have this big
bowl of Doritos or chips and salsa. I mean, it's
or good luck on your workout. I'm gonna watch TV or whatever.
So food, being on the same page with food is an important part, I think, of where I'm at. And then for me, it's one of those that when we make time to go do things again, whether it be as a family or or is going to the gym either by ourselves or collect or with each other. It's that, hey, go on. There's the support. I'll go with you. Do you need to go yet? When have you haven't? And so she helps me accomplish my goals by at least asking me, did you go and do it? So
checking in, accountability with each other too, and support.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that we do on certain days if I haven't been yet. Sometimes I'll kind of look at the window of time I have left and I'll think, if Tyler hasn't gone yet, I might as well just wait for him. I know he'll appreciate that. Because I have more time during the day than he does, I can get in there and kind of get back out. But I think sometimes he appreciates it. That being said, we walk in the door at the gym and he leaves. He doesn't work out with me at all, but just knowing that I'm there, he appreciates that. And I told you, sometimes I go sit in the sauna. If I've already done my workout, I'm like, okay, you go work out. I'm going to go sit in the sauna. But I think that that's important. And I think, too, like you're saying, I try not to buy junk food at the store. If we buy it, we eat it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Yeah. So make good decisions at the store when you're not craving it at home later. And I think the reason we keep bringing up food, for us at least, is I think it's a trigger that sets you into a bad cycle. That if you eat poorly, then you don't want to go work out. Yeah. And I think it kind of breaks that motivation cycle. I think you get down on yourself, and so that's why I think for us at least nutrition is really important in keeping motivated. Absolutely. Because the more you eat healthy, the better you feel, and that you will continue. And I do think if you eat a cupcake, the last thing you want to do is like, cool, I'm gonna go work out now. Because you think, like, why did I eat a cupcake? I'm just going to go sit down and watch TV now. It's sort of a mental trigger that makes you feel like you've ruined your day. Go sit on the couch and watch TV.
Spiral downward.
Yes, instead of like, sweet, now I have extra energy and carbs to go work out. Right. You know, that's not usually, it's just, which it actually does give you carbs and energy to go work out. That's the best time to go. Most of the time
we don't think that, though.
Yes, and so I think supporting each other in... like, especially when we were talking about rewarding behaviors or good things with food. Right. So making sure that maybe the places we go now are healthier, that what we get are healthy choices, and maybe making, ice cream nights out once or twice a month versus every weekend with the kids. And also teaching the kids that you don't reward yourself with food. Like, let's all go get Slurpees. You know what I mean? It's let's all, I don't know what we do now. I guess we're boring
Spending
parents.
time together or doing some fun activity or something like that would be good.
So just trying to find, I think that's where the support comes in for date nights. Picking things that you can still do fun things. You can still go out with your friends, but we're a lot more careful with where we go and what we get when we go out. And planning the week ahead, which might sound extreme, but planning the week ahead, if we know we're going out Friday night, then we make that sort of our fun night for food, and we can eat a little more because we've been really careful the whole week and make sure our workout gets done. We go to the gym on date nights a lot. I mean, that's sometimes the best times to go. The gym is totally empty. It's cheap date, we get to go be together, but we get to work out and it's fun. And sometimes, my sister will come along and it's just fun. We go to Sprouts afterwards and go grocery shopping. I mean, that might not sound like a fun date, but for us, really, that's a fun date.
Yeah.
So,
and you're being healthy together.
Yes.
And, it brings you. So what we're hearing here is, we can individually obviously make these choices. And it goes back to the mental commitment. And that's one thing that, this whole book, 8 Keys to Mental Health through exercise is all about, is how do we make that mental commitment and stick with it versus, getting stuck in our old habits just because they're habits. And that we can change over time. We can have fun. We can also not only improve ourselves, but also improve our relationships and, strengthen our families through being active together, through exercising. And sometimes I say that word active instead of exercise because, it doesn't have to feel like I'm exercising too,
Absolutely.
A lot of times the most fun is when you're just being active and just playing and, having fun together. So any last words of advice? You guys have been awesome. The reason why I had them on the show, everybody, is because I really have seen a change in you guys. And, they've always been active, but really stepped it up and really made these commitments and walk the walk instead of just talking the talk, Yeah. And I can see it now in your kids too, which is great.
Think my biggest thing would just be that, good attracts good. Yeah. So good behavior, exercising, it just attracts more good. You're making yourself a better person. You're feeling better. Everything, it just builds on each thing. And the more you do that, the better everything else sort of folds in around.
Yeah, I like that.
So
good. What do you want to add, Tyler?
I would probably say again, set yourself up for success. Don't put yourselves in situations that it's going to that you're going to fail. It's hard to do this. It's mentally hard to get up and do this every day. But don't put yourself in situations where you're set up for failure. If exercising or going and bench pressing or doing whatever is too difficult and you're going to fail at it, set yourself up for a solid win. Even if it's, I'm going to go walk around the block today, or today I'm going to eat one less, over sugarly high carb meal. Or again, sometimes it's just it takes those little wins in order for us to be super successful. Because again, you're going to look back a year from now, 2 years, 3 years, 2 days. You may not see the results in 2 days, but in that long term, you'll be able to look back and say, you know what, I did this. And it's a paradigm shift as far as how you have to think. And again, it's hard. It's really hard. I can't stress how difficult that is. But again, the simple successes make it the easiest to do it and to be accomplished, or to accomplish what you want.
Right. So wonderful way to wrap it up, to go for the little wins, the little successes, and those really do add up over time. And it might not suddenly be easy. I mean, that's what you're both saying. It's not like it's suddenly easy, but you just know how you feel. Like, you know that it's worth it. Right?
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for being here. So grateful. And if you guys want to hear more about Lindsay and Tyler's stories, you can check that out in 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise.
Aren't they great? I love that they're part of my family, and it's been so fun getting to know them in a whole new way as we've been able to use their story in 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise. So for today, I hope everybody will go ahead and think about what your challenges might be when it comes to physical activity. I hope that you will check out some of the resources on my website that are free, including a free excerpt from my new book about motivation, and let those resources help you and inspire you to maybe start thinking about what can you do to start facing those challenges you have when it comes to exercise, and to get yourself moving. Because again, motion creates emotion. And if you want that life that you're dreaming of, I think it's probably going to have to include a little bit of activity in order to make it really great. Also, I hope you will check out my book, 8 Keys to Mental Health Through Exercise, which is available now on Norton.com. And if you order before it's released on April 25th, with code Hibbert, that's my last name, Hibbert, you can receive 25% off plus free shipping and get it now. Otherwise, it's out April 25th all over the place. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target.com, Walmart.com, your local bookseller, you name it, it's there. Go check it out, and hopefully it'll help you as much as it has helped me as I've been writing it. And until next time, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on Motherhood. And I hope you will grow through motherhood this week, and not just go through it, because it's a whole lot better to grow through it. And it's a whole lot more fun to do that each week together here on Motherhood Radio. Bye-bye.